What's up, y'all? It's me, Rod. So, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody. We had a few new members join this week, the Patreon. So I'm really excited about that, and I really appreciate the newcomers and welcome aboard. But I just wanted to real quickly, I had one of the patrons, or the patrons, excuse me, one of them had a question, basically how to utilize this platform, because many of my videos, of course, are transcriptions, and you know, from what they were saying, it didn't really make sense for them to memorize a bunch of solos and stuff like that. And you're absolutely right. Like the purpose of the transcriptions is not necessarily to memorize the solos. What you want to do with these solos is essentially, you play them for facility, you play them for just to gain a more of a clearer understanding of your fretboard and your neck, and also the language of the music, the language of jazz. Like there's no way to learn a language without resuscitation or regurgitation, if that makes any sense. Like you have to, in order to really learn the music or the language, you gotta recite it over and over and over through various platforms, whether it be transcribing entire solos or just transcribing or cherry picking licks or lines that that you like. And in essence, that's really what all the greats did and are still doing, whether people want to admit it or not. Everybody still who grows to be great musicians, they steal from other musicians, and you can call it transcribing, you can call it stealing, you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, they are taking what they hear somebody else play, and then they're adding that they like to their musical repertoire. So as you go through my the videos and the things that I've transcribed, keep that in mind. Like the idea is not necessarily for you to learn the entire solo and play it back. If you choose to do that, that's awesome, that's great. But what I'm trying to offer is an opportunity to kind of get to know the artist. Say for instance, if it's Wes Montgomery, I have transcriptions of Wes, and the more you transcribe Wes, or the more you even listen to Wes, you'll start to hear a lot of similarities in his and things that you may like, that you want to add, and you can easily grab it from the transcription that I provided, as well as the fingering that I've also provided. So I'm just trying to basically bridge a gap, and actually try to get you as a player, and in myself, I'm still working on this every day myself as well, but try to get to I don't want to say finish line, because there's never a finish line. You're always going to keep growing. You're always going to keep building on to what you've previously learned, hopefully. So if you think that there's ever a finish line in this is a journey. This is not a start and finish. So just keep that in mind. But the transcriptions are definitely a roadmap to where you would like to be. All the information is in the recordings. So that's why I really stress focusing on transcribing and really trying to dig into these transcriptions. And the best way, and this will just be brief about the transcribing, because there were some other things that this patron asked to kind of explain, or how he may benefit. But just dealing with transcriptions, like I said, they're just roadmaps to the language. And just as archaeologists study Egyptology, or study the writings of hieroglyphics, this is like studying hieroglyphics in essence, because the language is broad. The language of jazz is broad, but it still has foundationary, I think that's the word, foundationary elements that you must grab in order to build upon it. You know, in order to grow, you got to have the foundation. So with that said, also one thing that I'm going to start doing, instead of just posting the transcriptions or just being primarily focused on that with this, I want this Patreon to be like a open book or a library of information for everybody who is subscribed to be able to enjoy. Just because, you know, I want it to be a community, you know, because my whole purpose and goal for creating this thing was to help musicians like yourself, guitarists, get to the next level as fast as possible. And, you know, the only way, sometimes I feel the best way to do that is, you know, through asking questions and being communicable, like with each other, or at least with me, and then I can, you know, promote it to the rest of the patrons on the site, so that everybody can kind of, because sometimes some people may have the same or similar questions. How can I benefit from this? Why should I subscribe to, you know, RHJ's Patreon or whatever? So I definitely want to remain transparent, and any questions or anything that you have, please shoot it to me, and then we'll, you know, flush it out and, you know, find the solution. So the other thing that the patron wanted to discuss, I'm here reading it, I guess more about being able to comp over certain songs and, you know, ideas for comping. One of the first thing to be able to be a good, I guess, a company is to know as many chords and inversions as possible. So I'll definitely start going over that as well. And as I talk through the transcription, I'll also add or start highlighting how, you know, different ways to comp through some of these songs that I'm posting and transcribing, if you all think that will help. I'm trying to keep, I do want to keep the videos brief, but at the same time I want the information to be robust, so that you all will definitely benefit. So if we just need to spend a few minutes on just comping through songs or whatever, then we can just do that as well. And also, with that being said, I'll start just explaining different chord inversions. And I've been doing that a little bit more on the videos, the like chord melodies and things like that, just trying to show different, you know, different inversions of chords and their functionality. Because some chords, as I said in the previous video that I posted, some chords have multiple uses, and, you know, it's very, very cool and good to know how you can use the same chord, especially when you're accompanying someone or just taking a chord solo. Let's see what else. Improvising. So yes, we are transcribing, we're comping, and then we're going to improvise every day. So I would encourage you all to just play whatever you feel. So the way I would break up my practice, and I think I've kind of mentioned this before in another video here, but now just break it up as you practice. You want to learn songs. You know, as you learn those songs, the best way to learn it would be to comp through it. And I always encourage iRealBook, because it's a good app that allows you to, you know, you can mute the bass, you can mute the piano accompaniment. It gives you a lot of different functionality to where you can, you know, you can just have the drums if you want. However, and you know, however you want it to play along with it, but it still cycles through the chords so that you can improvise and play through different songs and just kind of get a feel, because you know the best teacher is the experience of doing something. Sure, you can practice someone else's solo and play it verbatim, and that's great, and that's amazing in itself. But when you hit the bandstand, you know, even if you play George Benson's solo, you know, they're still going to recognize it as, oh, he's playing George Benson. So the ultimate goal is, of course, to get to your own self and your own sound, but you still have to go through those people, Wes Montgomery, George Benson, Pat Martino, all the other jazz guitar greats. You still have to go through them to get to you, if that makes any sense. So I'll also start, you know, just posting short clips of improvisation, and then saying, you know, give you all different approaches, you know, to 2/5s, alternate turnarounds, all that kind of stuff, just to add. And those things can be infinite as well too. So it basically will, as you all get to learn more chords, more voicings, you know, it'll be at your own personal preference, what you feel. And that's another thing that I have to stress. Like, I can't necessarily teach you all how to play jazz or teach you the language of jazz. The only thing I can show you all are different techniques and things that I use to navigate through, you know, or to negotiate chord relationships. And that's just me, you know. So based on what I like, what I hear, I tend to lean more toward the bluesier side of jazz, and not as much as the, you know, more harmonically complex stuff. But like I said, that's me. And as you all grow as musicians, you'll find what relates you all best to you. But just to summarize, as you start practicing, or as you go through this Patreon, as you know, especially the ones who have just joined, go through the catalog of transcriptions and all the material. And if you see something you like, you know, listen down. I always say, you know, listen many times before you actually start to try to transcribe it or go through it, because you definitely want to be able to hear it. If you can't, the adage of you can't play what you can't hear is 100% spot on, because if you can't hear it up here, how can you tell your fingers what you want them to do? Otherwise, once you start doing that, you're just noodling, you're just mindless noodling, and then that's not musical either. So so I would encourage you to listen to the song multiple times first, you know, and you can do that while you're driving, while you're riding, sitting at home, whatever, and then come back to the transcription. And especially if you hear some hip lines that you want to be like, dang, how did he do that? Or I really dig that line, let me go get that. Once you do that and you have it in your mind and in your heart, then it makes it a lot easier to get to your fingers. And that's half the battle. And then when most pop or modern songs are going to be based on a 2-5-1 or 1-6-2-5, or, you know, those very familiar progressions. And you can use whatever lines that you learn in these transcriptions and, you know, take them through the keys, or, you know, move them around and hear them in other keys, because they'll sound and speak differently. So use the transcriptions for those purposes. Don't use them just to memorize and play back and say, oh yeah, I played, you know, Bobby Broom's solo, which is great. I'm not saying yes, you can do that, but as you're doing that too, listen to how Bobby's articulating his solos and say, oh man, I like the way his time feel is, or I like the way even his tone, you know. So those are things to keep in mind as well, and how he's approaching the chord changes. I really dig how he's playing off the, you know, the tritone or whatever. Like, you can even jot down little notes to yourself you know, mentally or just physically handwrite notes. Keep a journal. I keep a journal of things that I'm practicing, my day-to-day tick list of things that I have to do. And you would be surprised at the end of the year how much you will have grown, and you can look back over your journal. At the beginning of the year, I always get a calendar, an annual calendar, and I'm pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Meticulous. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm pretty meticulous about writing down what I do from day to day, because I don't like to waste time, because that's one thing that is fleeting, is time. And that's why I'm trying to, especially for your younger patrons, I'm trying to get you all over the hill a lot faster than it took for me to get over the hill. And I'm still climbing the hill, as we all are, but at least, you know, you can be that much further along now with all this new technology that is readily available to us, that wasn't available to us when I was coming up. And I'm not that old, but I'm just saying, like, you know, now everything is so fast and quick and microwave now. So yeah, so hopefully that helps. You know, like I said, I'm gonna constantly be updating the Patreon, because I'm really excited about this platform, and it's I feel like it's gonna help. It's definitely gonna help me, just by, you know, trying to help you all. It's gonna allow me to go back over some of the things that helped me along the way, and allow me to share that with you all. So don't hesitate to ask me any questions, and I hope this kind of helped a little bit, and it will. If it didn't make sense in this 20 minutes that I've been talking, it will. So first things first, definitely learn more material. Listening is king. Like, listen to what you like, and then as you listen to what you like, go back and see if you can steal, quote unquote, some of those things and ideas that you like for yourself. Because someone told me that good musicians borrow, but great musicians steal. And a great musician told me that, and I guess he got it from somebody as well. But that's something to live by, because you don't, you know, we all want to strive to be great in what we do, and that's the best way that I can say. Just as you go through these transcriptions on this Patreon, try to steal some of the ideas for yourself, and the other things and the mechanics. You know, the mechanics of the instrument is a whole nother beast, but once you get the mechanics down, and then everything else is just whatever you hear in your mind. Like, you know, once you're able to fly through the instrument, the neck of the instrument, it's just a matter of relating what's here to here. And then the only way that you can get what's something to be in here is through here, through your ears, through listening. So yeah, I hope that helps. I'll post more.